On this edition of Gameball NFL Endzone, we're going to do a recap of everything that happened in Week 4 in the National Football League, as well as discuss a few teams. Maybe they should be in panic mode with everything happening in their situations around the NFL season. And we'll also give you our Week 5 predictions, as well as break down those matchups. And, of course, we'll hold it down once again for Mr. Luke Harden, who can't be here with us this week. But we got you, and we'll also give you his predictions as well. And it's only coming up right here on Gameball NFL Endzone, and it begins now.
What's happening, everyone? Welcome to Gameball NFL Endzone, where, of course, the football season never ends. I'm Marcus Young Genius Jenkins.
It's your boy, Michael Riley.
Always. And, of course, they're going to hold it down this week for Luke Harden that couldn't be here with us this week. But, of course, fam, we got you. And we're also going to, later in the podcast, give you his predictions for Week 5. Starting with the recap, of course, as we bring you this episode, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos are actually live in progress as we speak. So we'll actually be able to elaborate on that a little bit further maybe later on in the next episode. So good luck to the Kansas City Chiefs as they are on the road at Mile High Stadium taking on that Denver Broncos, fly zone defense. Mm-hmm. The first game we're going to recap, first and foremost, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Atlanta Falcons. Mike, I don't know what to say because the Atlanta Falcons, 2 games in a row at home, huge games, lost at the last second. And the thing to take away from this, Matt Ryan has been brilliant in these last couple of games. 8 touchdowns altogether, 419 passing yards in the last game. And another interesting statistic, Julio Jones, 193 yards, still cannot find the end zone. He has not had a receiving touchdown going into this week. But the Bengals, Andy Dalton, a lot sharper this week. Only 1 pick this week as he was able to get it done with a game-winning touchdown against the Atlanta Falcons on the road. How was Cincinnati able to escape with this one?
Boy. When you say they need to make plays that they need to make it, well, they made it. And I'm going to get what credit's due to the Cincinnati Bengals. But I'm still going to be critical of Marvin Lewis, though. He should not be a head coach at Cincinnati. And anywhere else, yes, but Cincinnati, no. He has not won a playoff game in the 16 years of his career he's been there, so he does not get a pass for that. But that's another time for another day. Let's talk about this Bengals defeating the Falcons. It was back and forth, as I was saying. Who would have the ball last to make the more plays? Cincinnati did. They stopped them on a very critical third out play, which would have been a touchdown if Matt Ryan would connect with the tight end Hooper, and he was wide open, and he would have won the jump ball. He's about 6'5" or 6'6". He would have won that matchup, but he didn't trust it. If that was me, I would have took a shot at it because he was taller than the defensive back of the Cincinnati Bengals. So the Bengals held them to a field goal, and for the defense to win and hold a field goal, that was huge instead of giving up a touchdown. So it was 36-31 with seconds to go. Cincinnati drove the ball downfield offensively, got some completions going, got 2 critical passes to A.J. Green, and that one that counted most was the touchdown pass on a deep out route, which he slid back in and caught the ball for the touchdown, and that was game over. The Falcons were stunned and once heartbroken. As I was saying last week, their defense are hurting right now, especially in the secondary and the linebacker spot. You don't have Neal. Julio. You don't have the other pieces, and you don't have Jones, the linebacker, as well. So they took a big blow. They was able to get some sacks on Andy Dalton and the pressure and stopping the run, but when it counted, they just could not get the job done. And Atlanta is in a bind right now. They're in a deep hole, even though it's early in the season. But will they find a way to dig themselves out of the hole? We don't know. And they have to find a way to get Julio Jones into the end zone. And the reason why it hasn't happened yet, because he's being double teamed and triple teamed, even though he's still getting his yardage. But in the red zone, Julio Jones cannot be found. But Calvin Ridley, the rookie receiver out of Alabama, a fellow Alabama with Julio Jones, is balling. The last 2 games, this kid is incredibly good. He is getting open. He gets good separation. And I'm surprised that he fell that far into the draft. I'll say he was about top 10, top 15 talent at the most, but he fell to the Falcons' lap since the Dallas Cowboys passed up on him. And the Dallas Cowboys right now could use a wide receiver like him. I'm just saying. So Calvin Ridley is balling. Whoever has Calvin Ridley on their fantasy team like me, he's doing a thing, and I won. So thank you, Calvin Ridley. So yeah, let's get back into it. Their defense is hurting. It's horrendous right now, and they can't find a way to get themselves out of the hole because of injuries. And their secondary is vulnerable. Their linebackers is vulnerable, and that's what happens when you do not have all your pieces at attack. So you kind of feel bad for Atlanta because Matt Ryan is putting his team on his back and he's doing everything he can, but the defense cannot bail him out. And unfortunately, that's what happened with the Falcons. And as a result, they're 1-3.
All right, the Atlanta Falcons, once again, 2nd game in a row at home and would unfortunately leave without a win. The 2nd game we're going to discuss, the Philadelphia Eagles lose to the Tennessee Titans 23-20.
We all had Philly winning.
Yes, we did. And unfortunately,
and now we got to eat some crow.
But talk about the Titans, though, for a second, Mike. This team seems to be finally coming along. Obviously, defensively, they weren't the Titans that they were against the Jaguars, for example, where they only held the Jaguars to only 6 points in a 9-6 win. How were they able to escape against the Eagles?
Well, they were down 17-3, and they made some adjustments offensively. Marcus Mariota was able to get some plays going and led them to score, especially in overtime, where they went for it on 2 4th-down conversions. One was 4th and 15, 17-yard completion to Dion Lewis, and another one was 4th and 2, could have kicked the field goal, but it was like, we want to go for the win. We do not want to tie because there is enough ties already in the first 2-3 weeks of the season. So they went for it and got the first down. And on the it was 2nd or 3rd down, Marcus Mariota threw a beautiful jump ball pass to Corey Davis, his 2nd year out of Central Michigan, and that won them the game in overtime. Game sealed, match over, touchdown Titans. So Corey Davis is starting to come along in his 2nd year as a receiver. He is balling out and starting to show he's starting to pay off the draft pick for the Titans, because last year as a rookie, you're going to have some struggles here and there. But it seems like he's coming along and he's balling because he had 9 catches over 161 yards and a touchdown to win the game. This kid is balling. And Marcus Mariota, which is doing this thing, he's finally started getting more comfortable in the offense, to where the previous offensive coordinator, he had to switch. So you can start to see he's finally getting comfortable, and he starting to run what he needs to, because he was running and taking some hits first point of his NFL career, to where it led some injuries. But now he's like, I don't have to do that. I can sit back in the pocket, go through my progressions, and if it's not there, live another day and go on to the next down. So he's starting to finally to do that, and he's throwing some check down plays as well to the running backs, and he's taking shots when he needs to and finding open receivers down the stretch of the field as well. And the defense was playing good after they made adjustments, and they got a critical sack fumble by the rookie Harold from Boston College. that also led to a Tennessee Titans score. So for those aspects, Tennessee Titans just made a few more adjustments and outplayed the Eagles in the last part of the game through the overtime to get this win. The Eagles, they had the Titans on their heels. They was up 17-3 at one point. We thought it was going to be a runaway, but you cannot sleep against the Titans because they always find a way to win. They always grind it out, and they always play good football. And they did that against the Jaguars, and now they did that against a very good team, the Super Bowl champs, reigning Super Bowl champs, the Eagles, at home. So they did that, and the defense was a letdown in the last part of the game. They gave up too many points, and they gave up a critical touchdown, which I felt like they got lazy on in coverage, letting Corey Davis win in that jump ball matchup to seal the game. It's not a panic mode for the Philadelphia Eagles yet. They are still the favorite to win the NFC East. They are the reigning Super Bowl champions, and you can't write them off yet. They'll get it fixed, but their defense was piss poor at the end and let them down to lose this game.
All right, once again, another huge win by the Tennessee Titans, again by a score of 23-20 in overtime over the Philadelphia Eagles. The third match we're going to talk about is the Baltimore Ravens coming up with a win over the Pittsburgh Steelers by a score of 26-14. Mike, I got to ask you quickly, what's going on in Pittsburgh?
I don't know what's going on, and they don't have Le'Veon Bell. They need to pay this man, and you can't blame Le'Veon Bell for holding out after you see what happened to Earl Thomas yesterday. That shows you to where players is going to start to hold out like, I'm not getting injured if I'm not going to get paid. Absolutely. I'm like, pay this man the money. You should have been done that last year into the offseason. Now he's potentially could come back at week 7. If I were him, I would just sit out the whole season and say screw it, because there's still going to be some issues, and they're not going to pay you, and more likely they may be not going to trade you. That's a slim margin, but who knows? There's been some teams that have been interested, but they want to wait for the highest bidder. If I'm the Steelers, I'd be like, screw the highest bidder, second round pick, let's go. 2 second rounds, whatever you want. So, and that aspect, they need to get Le'Veon Bell in or find a way to trade him. And the defense, it's been their Achilles heels, the defense. They're giving up plays, and they give up easy plays to Joe Flacco, which I think he's not even above average quarterback. He just got lucky in that Super Bowl run, and that's just my honest opinion. And the Ravens defense was able to force Steelers offense to be one-dimensional, get turnovers. As a result, they won the game.
And quote Mike Tomlin, they made plays, we didn't. The Pittsburgh Steelers fall into the Baltimore Ravens once again by a score of 14-26. And speaking of the Pittsburgh Steelers, they are one of 4 teams coming up that we're going to discuss, as well as the Atlanta Falcons, who are 1-3 on the season. Of course, we mentioned that they just lost 2 games in a row, both at home. The Minnesota Vikings 1-2-1, and the Houston Texans are 1-3 as well. Coming up in the next segment, which of those teams Mike is going to let us know should be in panic mode. Stick around with us. Gameball NFL Endzone. We'll be back in a minute.
Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Don't touch that dial.
What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to Gameball Info Endzone, where the football season never ends. Now, in the second segment, there are 4 teams that we're going to talk about, and Mike's going to break down. Should these teams be in panic mode? The Atlanta Falcons, 1-3, back-to-back losses at home against the Saints and the Bengals, respectively. Should this team be in a state of panic?
Yes. They should be in a panic mode, and they're 3 games behind the division and lost a close one to the Saints last week. And through injuries, as I was alluding to, and somehow, some way, they just got to find a way to bounce back. But right now, even though it's early in the season, there's a panic button that has to be hitting, and Atlanta Falcons is in the urgency where we got to find something to win. We got to start winning games to be able to get into the playoff run November and December. That's coming up soon. So we have to fix what we need to fix now. And defense has to find a way to finish out games. So as of right now, it's panic mode for Atlanta Falcons.
The Atlanta Falcons, I mean, they definitely seem like they can fill up that scoreboard really quick. That defense, of course, like you said, they're dealing with a lot of issues right now. So we'll see as the season progresses if they can turn that around. Definitely can get points quick, fast, in a hurry, and hopefully they can finally get Julio Jones into the end zone. Now, the second team that we just talked about, the Pittsburgh Steelers, obviously coming off of a loss to the Baltimore Ravens. They are 1-2, including that tie game right now. The Steelers seem kind of lost right now. Mike, what's going on in Pittsburgh, and do you feel like they should be in panic mode?
They're already in panic mode. They're at the hospital and the emergency room in critical condition, and they're on flat line. I'm like, you got to put that machine, just jack them up and get their life going clear. You know that. So that's what's wrong with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are on life support right now. The whole team is dysfunction. The whole locker room is dysfunction. The situation with Le'Veon Bell. The situation where teammates are turning on Le'Veon Bell, calling him out. The situation where the front office, the owner, the president of the Steelers don't know why they haven't signed this man. The issue is defensively. You went and drafted a first-round pick, safety, Edmonds out of Virginia Tech. And you're not getting production out there. You're not getting pass rush there as well. And offense, they're just not clicking on all cylinders. Antonio Brown's not getting the ball like he should. And he's winning one-on-one matchups. They're just not finding him the ball. Feed him the ball and find a way to get him more involved in the offense. And you have to find a way somehow to fix the ugliness with Le'Veon Bell. Whatever relationship you have left, let's just sit down and talk and fix it and go forward until next season, which more likely he's going to be gone from the Steelers. So they have to find a way to fix it. They got to look at themselves in the mirror. They got to go back to the drawing board. And Mike Tomlin, his job could be on the line, even though he's never had a losing season in Pittsburgh. You have to set an example. You have to put your foot down, say enough is enough. We're not going to talk about the Le'Veon Bell situation no more. We're not going to talk about the media, what's going on. From now on, it's football related only. Nothing else leaves outside this locker room. So it's panic mode time for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're on life support, critical condition. And will they be flatlined through the season? I don't know. But right now, they're on life support and they're in panic mode.
A lot of drama going on there in Pittsburgh. The Le'Veon Bell situation, obviously, it's going to carry over until they get it resolved one way or the other. And that's the last thing that they want to talk about, like you just mentioned, especially with a loss against the Baltimore Ravens. Discussing that game and just have to talk about Le'Veon Bell. So let's see what happens. Can they get a deal done with Le'Veon Bell? We'll find out. The Minnesota Vikings also are in this conversation. They have a similar record with the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. They are 1 win, 2 losses, as well as a tie. Mike, do you think that this team should be in panic mode?
To an extent, not necessarily. They just got to find a way to close the gaps on defense. The offense is putting up the points. It's the defense is not bailing them out. Last year, they were the number 1 ranked total defense in the NFL. This year, we're not seeing the same similarities. They ran into against Buffalo Bills, which I thought that win was a fluke, and they exposed them. And now teams are starting seeing like we can attack this number 1 defense, so we have to go back to the drawing board on defense. What we got to do to get back to the fundamentals that made us successful last season as the number 1 defense in the league. So they have to go back to the drawing board. They got to figure out what's going on, and they got a very tough opponent on the road. It's the rematch of the NFC Championship game against the Philadelphia Eagles. How are they going to prepare to stop them offensively? The Vikings offense is there, and Kirk Cousins is doing what he can to put his team to position to win. So I'm not going to put as much as on the offense as the defense is not bailing them out. If the defense somehow, some way can fix their issues, there's still a lot to win as their division. They're not far off. And they got the Green Bay Packers at home later on this season. So they just got to figure out how to fix their problems. If they can fix their problems, then that'd be back to the Minnesota Vikings as we want to know.
So even though the Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers have similar records, you just feel like they're definitely in a lot better shape, and they're maybe just like a small little tweak here from just getting things back on track.
They're a lot better shape than Pittsburgh Steelers because right now the NFC North division is wide open, and like I was saying, they almost got the win on the road until the kicker missed the field goal. 2 of them, which they could have put the game away. It just seems like a lot of kickers is missing field goals. But we'll talk about that in another segment another day. So I feel like there's some small tweaks they can fix. They almost had the Rams beat, but the Rams' high-power offense is too much. They almost had another team beat, but it was in a tie against their rival, and they got blown out of the water by the Bills. I don't know what happened, or was that even a real game? Just put it that. Was it a nightmare or something from a dream? I don't know. So from the Vikings, there's slightly, but not as a panic as the Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right. Better shape than Minnesota Vikings. Still early in the season. However, we are heading into week 5. We're close. We're getting on the midpoint in the season. So hopefully they find a way to turn that around before that point and the grind really starts to get going. The final team that we're going to talk about, Mike, is the Houston Texans, and they are sitting at 1-3. Should this team be in panic mode?
As I was alluding to the Vikings, but maybe a little lower, but they're not bad as Pittsburgh or the Falcons. They're still trying to find their ways, and Deshaun Watson is still getting his feet wet from that injury. They found a way to get a win division on the road against the Colts yesterday, and he's just doing his thing, and he got the team to win. So they only can get better if their defense can play good defense and start picking up a little bit. This division is still wide open, in my opinion. They still got the Tennessee Titans. They still got another game at home against the Colts. And they still got 2 games against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it's up for grabs. The Jacksonville Jaguars is the dominant in that division, but the Tennessee Titans already beat them. So head-to-head wise, Tennessee Titans wins. So if somehow, some way, the Texans can find a way to start getting on a winning streak and tweak some stuff offense and defensively, they have a potential shot at winning the AFC South Division.
All right, Tennessee Titans down, but definitely not out. Still, once again, plenty of time left in the season for them to get it together. Of course, like you mentioned, Deshaun Watson is still trying to get his feet wet after suffering a huge injury last season. That's going to do it for the second segment of Gameball NFL Endzone. And when we come back, we'll bring to you the Week 5 matchups as well as our famous predictions. Stay around with us. Gameball NFL Endzone. We'll be back in a moment.
Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned, folks. What's happening, everyone?
Welcome back to Gameball NFL Endzone, where the football season never ends. This brings us to our final segment, and that is the Game 5 matchups and the predictions. And, of course, we'll have Luke Hartnett's predictions for you as well. The first matchup we're going to talk about, Mike, the Green Bay Packers taking on the Detroit Lions.
Division rival again. NFC North. Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions. And I feel like the Green Bay Packers is riding on with some confidence. They got a shutout win against the Bills 22-0. And Aaron Rodgers is starting to get his feet wet back a little bit. Starting to get to his feet underneath him a little bit from that injury that he had early parts of the season. You can starting being a little self-mooring again. And also the defense is playing a little bit better, but the secondary still concerning a little bit, and pass rush is still concerning a little bit here and there. And they got to stop with the roughing the passer on Clay Matthews. Just stop it. So the offense, they can get going, then they'll be able to dominate on the road against Detroit, and they have to get the running game going. If I'm Green Bay Packers, in my opinion, I'll call the Pittsburgh Steelers, see what you do by giving Le'Veon Bell and getting him in that office with Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy Graham, Randall Cobb, and the other crew, Devontae Adams as well. So if you can find a way to get Le'Veon Bell in that offense, that would take a lot of pressure off of Aaron Rodgers, and this offense will be dynamic to the core. Now, for the Detroit Lions, they didn't finish well against the Dallas Cowboys. And they look like the team that they beat the Patriots last week. They gave up over 100 yards rushing, close to 150 yards to Ezekiel Elliott. They gave up critical plays and the pass game as well. And I feel like they was jawing at the Dallas Cowboys. They wasn't focusing on getting the win. They need to be more disciplined, more focusing on getting the win instead of running their mouth and talking, going back and forth. So if Detroit can find a way to fix their problems, they'll be able to win that game, and they'll be able to have a 2-game winning streak, and now they're back to square one.
All right, Green Bay and Detroit coming at you on Week 5. We're going to jump to the Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, who, like we mentioned earlier, they're underway right now in Denver. Actually, the last time we checked on it, was tied at 10, so we'll obviously know the score of that later on in the evening. But this Jacksonville team going into Arrowhead Stadium, taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you like about this matchup?
Good defense versus a good offense. Jacksonville in a hostile environment, which Blake Bortles is going to show up. There's still a jury out on him, even though he has played well so far. But there is one point to where he's going to go back to Blake Bortles as we once seen, and especially going to the #1 stadium in all America, especially in NFL, the loudest world-breaking stadium in the Guinness World Record books. I mean, it's just phenomenal there. And how he's going to deal with that crowd, we don't know. So which Blake Bortles are we going to see? And plus, Leonard Fournette's injury issues is going on. And also, how is the defense is going to be able to stop the Chiefs' explosive high-power offense? Who's going to stop Tyreek Hill? Because if you double Tyreek Hill, you got Sammy Watkins open underneath. Then you got Travis Kelce coming out the middle. Then you got the other receivers, and they got too much playmakers to go along on that offense. So it's going to come down to it, who makes the last play in that game to win. Both offense or defense, either team. So who's going to have the ball last to win the game?
All right, Kansas City Chiefs potentially could still be riding an undefeated win streak going into that game. Of course, they'll be off of a matchup against, like we mentioned, the Denver Broncos. Like you mentioned, this is definitely going to be a great game.
I say it's the game of the week.
I would agree with you. Now, the third matchup, both of these teams having some issues right now. The Philadelphia Eagles, of course, they lost a game in overtime against the Tennessee Titans, 23-20. The Minnesota Vikings right now riding on a 1-2-1 record. So both of these teams coming in with a little bit of something, a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Mike, how would you break down this game?
Well, it's the rematch of the NFC Championship game. It's now or never, and this game is riding a lot. So is it going to make a break for the Vikings, or is the Eagles going to suffer another loss? We don't know. Which defense is going to show up? I'm not really concerned about the offense, because the offense is going to put up points. It's the defense that I'm concerned about for both teams. Like Thursday, the Vikings defense gave up a lot of points and a lot of total yards offense against the Rams in that 38-30 loss on the road. Then you have Philadelphia Eagles, who gave up a very critical touchdown win in overtime to lose in that game, which at one point they was up 17-3. So the defense couldn't finish it that game. So it matters of which defense at the end is going to make the key play to win the game, and that's going to be the difference, whoever wins this game.
All right, the Minnesota Vikings and the Philadelphia Eagles both looking to turn things around going into Week 5. The last matchup, let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, if you like pretty football, this ain't that game. This is going to be a knockout, gritty fight. Mike, what do you like about this matchup between the Cowboys and the Titans?
Well, the Houston Texans, the Dallas Cowboys, the battle of the Texans, and this is a must-win for the Dallas Cowboys if they want to be able to stay a lead ahead in the NFC East. Because we all know once the Dallas Cowboys get rolling, at some point it's going to be that black cat for Pet Cemetery coming out to curse him. I keep saying this is why the Dallas Cowboys are a bad luck in the making. But we'll put out all aside. The Dallas Cowboys had a good win yesterday. But they're going to face a very good quarterback in Deshaun Watson. How they going to stop him? Because when the pocket collapsed, this dude has a takeoff game to where he extend plays and catch you off guard, or he's running for first downs or touchdowns. We don't know. So they're going to have to be heavily prepared to keep Watson contained in the pocket to where he's not running. So if I'm the Dallas Cowboys defense, instead of playing press man cover 2, you're going to have to get some wrinkles. You're going to have to put 4 up front, 2 in the middle, and drop rest in the back, and convert that to a 4-1-6 from a 4-2-5. 4-1-6 is when you line up in a 4-2-5 and base defense where you have the front 4 and you can blitz the linebacker, and you also can drop a linebacker in coverage, or you can have one of the defensive backs line up as a linebacker and drop in coverage to help with his speed. You have to mix it up to keep him in the pocket. You always got to have a quarterback spy just in case if he breaks out for a long run. So you always have to keep that. Just mix it up on defense. Don't play that soft zone, whatever, against Deshaun Watson. You have to play to his strengths and stop his strengths. So if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I am doing some dialogue and trying to figure out. You can also run a 4-3 that could turn to 4-5-2. A 4-3, a 4-man front, 3 linebackers. You can blitz 1 and drop 2 in the coverage, so it could be a 5-2 front and the defensive backs in the back to stop the pass. So you can find ways to get creative. So if the Dallas Cowboys can do that, they can win this game. Now for the Houston Texans, they have to stop the Dallas Cowboys running game. If J.J. Watt, Whitley Merciless, and Jadeveon Clowney have a big game, then the Texas defense can do some damage, because we already seen what the Cowboys like when you shut down the running game. They're a pedestrian offense. You force them to be one-dimensional. So if you stop the run and force the Cowboys to be one-dimensional offense, you did your job on defense. You can help your team potentially win. Now for the offense, they had a little sluggish start against the Colts, but they found their groove, they found a way, and they got the job done. So if I'm the Houston Texas offense, you got to find some way to score touchdowns instead of field goals. Points is points by 1 touchdown, and you got to get Deshaun Watson going early. And who's going to guard DeAndre Hopkins and Fuller on the outside? We'll find out and see.
Dallas and Houston coming Week 5, and that will bring us to the predictions part of the episode, starting with Green Bay and Detroit. Mike and Luke, who y'all got?
Well, I'm about to look it up here on the phone for Luke's picks, and Luke has picked the Green Bay Packers on the road to beat Detroit Lions. I'm going to ride that wave and pick Green Bay to win on the road. I just think Detroit still trying to find their identity in some new system. So I just say Green Bay Packers will win the score of 34-24 Packers.
All right. I agree with the both of you as well. I think Aaron Rodgers will handle his business. Detroit, I mean, they had an impressive win against the New England Patriots some time ago, but like you said, they're still young, but they're finally starting to come along. But just this isn't that game where they're going to come.
And they have to focus and stop jawing and play football and try to get a win.
All right, all three of us going with the Green Bay Packers, which moves us along to the Jacksonville Jaguars going into Arrowhead Stadium against the Kansas City Chiefs. Mike, Luke, who y'all got?
Luke has the Kansas City Chiefs winning at home against a very good team, the Jaguars. I'm fiddling with this one. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. They're at home. If they was in Jacksonville, it would be the other way around. But you got the loudest stadium in the NFL. You have the fans. The crowd's going to go crazy nuts over this game. And it's going to come down to who has the last ball to make a play to win the game. But I feel like offensively, the Chiefs will make more plays than the Jacksonville Jaguars defense. And in a hostile environment, I don't trust Blake Bortles, because when you've been Arrowhead and that crowd in that loud stadium gets to you, it'll get to you. And it's hard for you to hear the play call. And that's why they say that it's the loudest stadium in America. You wonder why they got two Guinness World Record books broken twice. So I'm going to roll with the Chiefs to win a very close one on a late field goal. Patrick Mahomes, a.k.a. Mahomie, leads them the way. I'm going to say the score of 27-25 Chiefs at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Man, I think there isn't a wrong answer with this one, because it really is the Chiefs offense against the Jaguars defense. I like Kansas City at home as well. I just think they have too many weapons offensively, and if they finally got cash rules everything around me, Kareem Hunt, get the money. If they can find a way to continue to get him going and ride that confidence, scoring those 2 early touchdowns going into last weekend, I think they'll find a way to get it done. I think it'll be close as well.
It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a close game. But like I was saying, if you guard Tyreek Hill, you got Travis Kelce to worry about. You got Sammy Watkins to worry about. You got Kareem Hunt out the backfield to worry about. And you got the other receivers to worry about. So it's going to be very difficult to defend that offense, but it's not going to be as high scoring. That's why I say 27-25 Chiefs will win over a field goal at home.
I got 28-14. I got them because I just think there really isn't a team that can really outgun them. I think it really is. It's going to be that Chiefs defense when they can find a way to add to that. They kind of remind me, tell me if I'm wrong, but the championship St. Louis Rams teams where they just had a high-powered offense, nothing but speed. Of course, Patrick Mahomes is a different quarterback than Kurt Warner, but they just have a lot of weapons in the air. They have a great ground run game. Kareem Hunt, in a way, does kind of remind me of Marshall Faulk to a degree. Not saying he's that guy, but I just think they just have too many weapons in this one.
Yeah, they do similarities, and you can start to see that offense simulated with the Kansas City Chiefs offense, the greatest show on turf, with the St. Louis Rams, when it used to be the St. Louis Rams before they moved back to L.A. So, and we'll see how the Chiefs go early parts of the, not early, but as the season progresses, because last year they started off hot, then they had a slump. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm picking the Chiefs win in a close one. I mean, Jaguars is going to put up a fight, but I'm not going to go 10 points. I'm going to say 2 points Chiefs win.
Attention, library.
All right, with that being said, all three of us are choosing the Kansas City Chiefs in this contest. Going to the third matchup, the Minnesota Vikings versus the Philadelphia Eagles, who you might have.
Luke has the Philadelphia Eagles winning at home against the Vikings. Man, I've been juggling with this pick. It's just Vikings or Philadelphia Eagles. Vikings or Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to go with my gut here. I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings to get the win on the road. I'm just going to go out there and say it. The last 2 weeks has been horrible for them. They get over 30-some points. The 2 games that they done lost. And it's got a bad taste in the mouth to where I think Mike Zimmerman, the head coach, one of the great defensive minds, will find some way on defense to get it done. I'm not worried about the Vikings offense. It's going to be there to put up points. But I am concerned about the defense. But I feel like Mike Zimmerman will find a way to fix it. And once it gets fixed, then they start going. They have the pieces there. It's just the last two games, and they haven't played to their potential. Number one defense of last season. So I'll say they get back on track and regroup. But I'm going to say another close one. And I'm going to say the Vikings will edge out at the end, the score of 31-28.
All right. I'm going with the Eagles with this one. I think they'll find a way to squeak it out. It's going to be a gunfight. I mean, it's going to be Wentz versus Cousins. I think it's going to be the battle of those two quarterbacks. I think it really will go down to the last possession. I think Carson Wentz, fearless Carson Wentz, is going to find a way to squeak this one out. I have them winning this one by a score of 28-24.
All right. Last pick.
The Houston Texans, Dallas Cowboys. Luke and Mike, who y'all got?
Let me reveal Luke's pick. And Luke has picked the Houston Texans over the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm going to follow that train of bandwagon and pick the Houston Texans to defeat the Dallas Cowboys. They'll be the Kings of Texas for this season, the 2018 season. I just feel like Deshaun Watson will be able to find a way the last minute to score his points and get his team to win. And I just feel like the offense is going to struggle against the J.J. Watt, Whitney Merciless, and Jadeveon Clowney. And I feel like Deshaun Watson will make two more plays to get a 10-point lead and win the game on the road against Dallas. So I'm going to say the Houston Texans win the score of 30-20 on the road at Dallas in Jerry Jones's world.
Dallas Cowboys, they play ugly football. I mean, there's nothing pretty about the Dallas Cowboys. They find ways to grit it out and get it done. Will they be able to have enough against Deshaun Watson? I'm not for sure. I think, like you said, Deshaun Watson is starting to come along. He's starting to show signs that he is coming back to form. I just don't know what Dallas Cowboys team is going to show up. I mean, they've been, for years, they've been really inconsistent. It's kind of like a game of roulette. You know, you don't know necessarily where, what you're going to get, basically. I like the Houston Texans in this one. I think Deshaun Watson is going to go into Cowboy Stadium, and I think he's going to show up. I think he will throw 4. I'm going to give him 4 touchdowns against the Dallas Cowboys. I think they will win. I'm going to give them a score. I'm going to say 28. I'm going to say 28-14 on this one. I think they will beat the Dallas Cowboys on the road. And that will do it for this edition of Gameball NFL Endzone.
Social media, you can follow us at Facebook, Gameball College Kickoff / Gameball NFL Endzone. Send us an email, feedback at gck.gnfle@gmail.com. You can follow us on our official Twitter page at gck_GNFLE. You can follow your boy, all capitalized, Gameball_Mike, MYKE, on Twitter. And you can also follow us on Instagram at GCK_GNFLE. Get your merchandise on our clothing line website at tokandesignstopeka.com. That's TOKAN designstopeka.com/Gameball. That's token, not toucan. And get on our YouTube channel. Hit that like button and hit that notification as well. Hit thumbs up, thumbs down, hit us a like, a dislike, our YouTube channel at gck.gnfletv. I'm going to pass the mic to you.
All right. Of course, you can find me on Facebook, Marcus Jovel ENT Jenkins. Also, hit your boy up on Instagram and Twitter as well, at Jovel ENT, all one word, JOVELLEENT.
And also, you can follow Luke Harnett on Instagram and Facebook. And on Twitter, you can follow Luke Harnett 2, folks. That's Luke Harnett 2. I'm Michael O'Reilly.
I'm Marcus Young Genius Jenkins.
This is Gameball NFL Endzone, where the football season never ends. Peace. We are out. One love.